jacket and visited Newport News, Virginia today, where he pushed his plan to strengthen the U.S. military. For more on that visit and its consequences, we're joined by Fox News correspondent Trace Gallagher. Hey, Trace.
Hey, Tucker, standing on board the newly commissioned $13 billion USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier, President Trump called for the largest increase ever in military spending. The 15-minute speech didn't carry nearly the weight of his address to Congress on Tuesday night, but it did mark the second time in a row a Trump speech has garnered praise well outside of Team Trump. And today was more than what he said, but also how he looked, apparently boosting his presidential aura with a flight jacket and a USS Ford ball cap. Watch.
What an honor. You know, they just gave me this beautiful jacket. They said, "Here, Mr. President, please take this home." I said, "Let me wear it." And then they gave me the beautiful hat. And I said, you know, maybe I'll do that.
During Trump's address to Congress, Democrats found it hard to stand up for the president, but some left-leaning publications and political pundits indicated that Mr. Trump was starting to embrace his position. Time magazine writing, quote, "It was perhaps the clearest sign yet that after 40 days in the West Wing, the president is beginning to come to grips with the public responsibilities of the office." The New York Times headline read, quote, "Trump offers up a more helpful vision." And Politico saying, quote, "Trump tries on normal." Even liberal analyst Van Jones, who used the phrase white lash to describe the election, said this after the speech. Watch.
He became president of the United States in that moment, period. That was one of the most extraordinary moments you have ever seen in American politics.
Even his worst critics were left to admit that at the very least, the president hit some of the high notes. Tucker.
Trace Gallagher, thanks. Well, in contrast to his quick firing of National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, President Trump has signaled he's got no plans to move against his attorney general, despite all the news today. Just a short time ago, the president released this statement, quote, "Jeff Sessions is an honest man. He did not say anything wrong. He could have stated his response more accurately, but it was clearly not intentional. This whole narrative is a way of saving face for Democrats losing an election that everyone thought they were supposed to win. The Democrats are overplaying their hand. They lost the election, and now they've lost their grip on reality. The real story is all of the illegal leaks of classified and other information. It is a total witch hunt." Well, that statement has not satisfied Democrats, of course. Congressman David Cicilline is a Democrat representing the state of Rhode Island. He serves on both the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committee, and he tweeted this today. If the Attorney General lied under oath, he must resign and then face the consequences for committing perjury. Congressman Cicilline joins us now. Congressman, thanks for coming on. Perjury, that
great to be on with you again.
Thank you. It's good to see you. It seems like maybe you're getting a little ahead of the story if you're already mentioning perjury.
No, look, I think what we learned today in the last 48 hours is very disturbing. The Attorney General of the United States testified before the American people and before a Senate committee and gave false testimony. He said that he did not meet with Russian officials during the course of the campaign. We now know that that is not true. He had 2 months from the time he gave that testimony to correct the record. He did not. I think it's very, very concerning. This is the top law enforcement official of the United States.
Right.
We hold him to a very different standard than an ordinary citizen. He's responsible for prosecuting people for crimes all across America. I think it is impossible for him to continue in that position, having testified under oath falsely. And I think it's in service to our country. He should step down. I think that's in the best interest of the United States and should be treated like any other person who offers false testimony.
Right.
And wherever that takes it, it takes it.
So just to be totally clear, your standard is if the Attorney General says something in Congress, it turns out not to be true, he needs to resign and face perjury charges, A. And B, you don't buy the Attorney General's explanation that he believed that Senator Franken was referring to his capacity as a campaign advisor.
No. First of all, I don't think that that's credible. This is there has been information released by 17 intelligence agencies of the United States that came to the conclusion that the Russian government interfered with the American presidential election for the express purpose of helping Donald Trump. There have been now 4 officials from the Trump campaign that have left service of President Trump because of their ties to Russian officials. And it's in that context that that question was asked. The notion he's the only one of 26 members of the Senate Armed Service Committee that met with the Russian ambassador, the only one. And the fact that he originally said, I don't remember such a conversation, said that last night. Then he remembered today at his press conference some of the details. I mean, this is just not credible. But the reality is, when he gave that testimony under oath, it was not true.
Okay, so if that's the standard,
I mean, as you said in the question, you asked a very important question to the Attorney General. He had 2 months to correct that. He didn't. And look, this is not an ordinary citizen.
But hold on, wait. I think it's a fair question.
Law enforcement official in the country.
Hold on. You heard my interview.
Absolutely.
I thought I raised real questions.
You
but
did.
I'm just interested in the standard you're setting. I mean, I've been in Washington since childhood, long enough to remember May of 2013, when the then Attorney General Eric Holder said in public, I had nothing to do with surveillance of reporters who might be involved in writing critical stories on the administration. He said that, and it turned out to be a lie. And Congress had a vote on censoring him, and you walked out of that vote. And I just wonder, I mean, that is a very clear double standard. There's no question that he lied. He admitted he lied, and you were not willing to stand up and be counted.
That is absolutely not the case. You have the Attorney General of the United States, in this case,
it is true.
Testifying to the American people and testifying to his colleagues in the Senate that he did not meet with Russian officials when he did. And the reality is that, it seems to me, disqualifies him from maintaining a position as Attorney General of the United States.
So, look,
this is, again, in the context, by the way, just let me finish.
Okay, you're not going to answer my question,
I have a very serious question about the integrity of our American presidential elections. What's alarming to me is that
I don't think I can sit through. If you're going to give that lecture, I have to ask very specific questions. Here's what they are.
No, I'm not giving you a lecture,
because I've gotten this lecture 1,000 times. Raises questions the integrity of our democracy. How exactly are you? How specifically are you alleging that the Russian government influenced the outcome of the election? You raised this question, and you're implying it. I want you to state, what are you talking about?
17 intelligence agencies of the United States.
And how exactly did they say Russia? Okay, since you've read their reports, how exactly did they say they influenced the outcome? I did read it, so let me finish.
Let me finish the answer. I'm happy to answer. They document a very sophisticated campaign at the direction of Vladimir Putin that included fake news, online blogging, the hacking of the DNC, the release of emails, a very sophisticated campaign with one express purpose, to undermine the Democratic presidential candidate and to let Donald Trump. That's not my conclusion. No, look.
Let's not shout over each other. I've got a simple question. Is there any evidence that any of those efforts, which have been going on, by the way, since 1920, the Russian government's always tried to influence our elections, and they always probably will. Is there any evidence at all, and if you have it, please state it, that those efforts resulted in any change in the outcome at all? Do you have any evidence of that?
We don't know that because it had to do with changing the voters' perception. But there's evidence that they hacked into our election process. We'll never know that.
What do you mean they hacked in? Did they break into voting machines? What do you mean they hacked in?
No, they hacked into our system where they released emails, where they broke into the DNC, where they did online blogging, fake news. Those things presumably affected some voters' judgment.
Should that be illegal?
But the reality is, they did online fake.
They wrote things you don't like.
Did you read the report?
Yes.
So the point is, of course they had some influence on voters, but the reality is Donald Trump is our president. Hillary Clinton lost the election. I know he's our president because I was there when he was sworn in. That's the reality. But that doesn't change the fact that the Attorney General of the United States should not testify before a Senate committee and before the American people falsely and remain in that position.
I just want to throw this at you because I think we're probably on the same side on this. Today you had 2 Democratic senators suggest that we were now in a state of war with Russia. Jeanne Shaheen, she said this was an active war. Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland, quote, it was an attack on our country. Where's this going? There seems to be, these are drumbeats for war against Russia. I cannot believe you are for that. I don't think most Americans are for it. Reassure me now, when you have U.S. senators saying things like that, what are they talking about?
No. I mean, I think what they're talking about is, look, Russia has been engaged in efforts all across the world to undermine Western liberal democracies. You see it in France, you see it in Brexit. So
in Brexit?
that's happening. This happened in America.
They're behind Brexit,
so we have to. No, I didn't say they're behind Brexit. I said Russia has been involved in elections all across Europe to underline Western liberal democracy. We should take this very seriously. It's not just a Democratic issue. We have a lot of fine Republicans, Senator Graham, Senator McCain, who have raised this issue. This is about protecting
I'm sorry, we're out of time, but I want to come back and
I
want to explore how the Russians are responsible for Brexit and Marine Le Pen. And I hope
I didn't say they're responsible for Brexit. I'd love to come back, though.
Okay. Thanks, Congressman. Appreciate it.